What happens when a billionaire's daughter gets caught in a hit and run, walks into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom wearing $200,000 in jewelry, and then pulls a $45,000 Rolex Sky-Dweller from her purse and slides it across the bench saying, "Maybe we can make this go away quietly." This 31-year-old is about to learn that attempting to bribe a federal officer is a felony that carries 5 years in prison. And when Judge Caprio picks up that watch and does something with it that no one in the courtroom expects, it triggers a chain of events that destroys her father's billion-dollar real estate empire, lands her in federal custody, and proves that some things cost more than money can buy. In the next 20 minutes, you're going to witness the most expensive mistake in courtroom history, and discover that the price of attempting to corrupt justice isn't measured in Rolexes. It's measured in years. Let us know where you're watching from, because what happens next will prove that a $45,000 watch means nothing to a judge who spent 35 years proving that justice isn't for sale. January 12, 2024. 10:00 a.m. Providence Municipal Court sits under winter cold so sharp it makes the courthouse steps glisten with ice. Inside Courtroom 4, Judge Frank Caprio reviews a case that's already making waves in Providence's legal community. Case number 2024 CR 847, State of Rhode Island, vs. Olivia Christine Blackwell, hit and run with serious bodily injury, leaving the scene of an accident and a prosecutor's note that reads, "Defendant is daughter of Jonathan Blackwell, CEO of Blackwell Properties, privately held, estimated net worth $2.7 billion. Defense has already attempted to negotiate dismissal through political channels. Recommend heightened scrutiny." Olivia Blackwell enters the courtroom at 10:19 a.m., 19 minutes late, and doesn't apologize. 31 years old, 5'8", wearing a white Loro Piana cashmere coat that costs $6,500. She keeps it on despite the courtroom being warm, as if she's just stopping by on her way to somewhere more important. Underneath, a cream silk Hermes blouse and tailored black slacks. Her blonde hair is styled in that expensive way that's supposed to look effortless but requires 2 hours and $800 at a Fifth Avenue salon. But it's her accessories that make everyone in the courtroom stare. Diamond stud earrings, at least 3 carats each, conservatively $85,000 for the pair. A Cartier love bracelet in rose gold with diamonds, $50,000, and on her wrist a Patek Philippe 20/4 watch in white gold, $65,000. She's wearing approximately $200,000 in jewelry to a municipal court hearing for hit and run. The message is clear. This is pocket change. This is nothing. She carries a Bottega Veneta clutch, $4,200, and checks her iPhone 15 Pro Max every 15 seconds like she's waiting for more important notifications than a criminal trial. Her Manolo Blahnik heels, about $100, click on the courtroom floor with the confidence of someone who's never been told no. Her attorney is Preston Whitmore III, 68 years old, managing partner at Whitmore & Associates, a firm that specializes in making problems disappear for people with 8-figure net worths. He bills $100 per hour and hasn't lost a case in 4 years because he settles them before trial, usually with a combination of money, connections, and strategically applied pressure. His presence in a municipal court is unusual. His expression, careful, controlled, slightly nervous, is even more unusual. Behind Olivia sits no one. Her father isn't here. Her mother died 6 years ago. She's alone, but she doesn't seem to mind. She has her phone, her jewelry, and her absolute certainty that this will all be handled the way everything in her life has been handled. With money. 4 weeks ago, on December 15, 2023, at exactly 7:43 p.m., Olivia Blackwell was driving her white Maserati Levante, a $180,000 luxury SUV, through Providence's College Hill neighborhood. She was heading home from a charity gala at the Providence Art Club, where she'd spent the evening drinking champagne and networking with potential investors for her father's latest real estate development. Security footage from the gala shows Olivia at the bar at 6:15 p.m., 6:47 p.m., 7:03 p.m., and 7:21 p.m. The bartender's statement documents 5 glasses of champagne consumed over 2 hours. At 7:43 p.m., Olivia was driving down Benefit Street, a historic area with narrow roads, parallel parked cars, and heavy pedestrian traffic even in December. Posted speed limit, 20 miles per hour. Security camera analysis from Brown University's campus security system shows Olivia's Maserati traveling at 43 miles per hour, more than double the limit on one of Providence's most pedestrian-heavy streets. At the intersection of Benefit Street and Waterman Street, 82-year-old Robert Walsh was crossing. A retired Providence firefighter who'd served 29 years before retiring in 1997. That evening, he was walking home from the Providence Public Library where he volunteered 3 evenings a week helping adults learn to read. He'd been doing it for 12 years. In his canvas bag, 4 library books and a thermos of coffee his daughter had packed for him that morning. Security footage from 247 Benefit Street, a Brown University dormitory, captures what happens next with heartbreaking clarity. Timestamp, 7:43:51 p.m. Olivia's Maserati approaches the crosswalk at 43 miles per hour. Robert Walsh is in the crosswalk, perhaps 6 feet from the curb, moving at the careful pace of an 82-year-old man with arthritis. The walk signal is illuminated. He has the right of way. Olivia's Maserati doesn't slow down. The SUV's headlights illuminate Robert for perhaps 2 seconds, then impact. Physics is brutal and unforgiving. A 5,000-pound vehicle traveling at 43 miles per hour carries approximately 436,000 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. When that strikes an 165-pound elderly man, the outcome is catastrophic. Robert Walsh is thrown 22 feet. His body lands on the sidewalk. His canvas bag splits open. Library books scatter. His thermos shatters, coffee spreading across the cold pavement like dark blood. The medical report, which Judge Caprio has read 3 times, documents severe injuries. Compound fracture of the right femur, shattered pelvis, 4 broken ribs, punctured lung, traumatic brain injury, and spinal damage that will likely leave him paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of his life. Olivia's Maserati sustains approximately $23,000 in damage, crumpled front bumper, shattered headlight, cracked windshield. But Olivia herself is uninjured. The SUV's sophisticated safety systems protect her perfectly. And instead of stopping, instead of calling 911, instead of checking if Robert Walsh is alive, Olivia does something that transforms this from a tragic accident into something far worse. She accelerates. Security footage shows her brake lights illuminate for perhaps 1 second, then she speeds up. She drives away at approximately 50 miles per hour, running a stop sign 2 blocks later in her haste to leave the scene. Witnesses call 911 at 7:44 p.m. Robert Walsh is unconscious. He's not breathing. A Brown medical student who happens to be walking nearby begins CPR. EMTs arrive at 7:49 p.m. Robert's heart has stopped twice. They revive him both times. He's rushed to Rhode Island Hospital, where he spends 9 days in a medically induced coma while doctors fight to save his life. Olivia Blackwell drives 8 blocks to her waterfront penthouse condominium, a $4.7 million property in a building her father owns. At 8:17 p.m., 34 minutes after hitting Robert Walsh, she calls her father's personal attorney, Preston Whitmore III. Not the police, not her insurance company, her father's fixer. "Preston, I need you to handle something. There was an incident with my car. I'd prefer to keep it quiet. How much do we need to make this disappear?" Preston asks the obvious questions. Olivia admits she hit something. She thinks it was a person but isn't sure. She left because she panicked. She's been drinking but doesn't think she's drunk. She wants to know what her options are if the situation becomes complicated. Preston tells her not to speak to anyone and says he'll handle it. By 9 p.m., he's contacted 3 city council members, the police chief's office, and a senior prosecutor. The message is consistent. Olivia Blackwell is willing to provide generous compensation to the victim. Perhaps this can be resolved civilly without criminal charges. After all, it was clearly an accident. No one wants to ruin a young woman's life over a moment of panic. But Robert Walsh's family doesn't want money. They want justice. And Providence Police, specifically Officer Jennifer Martinez, who arrives at Olivia's building at 11:47 p.m. with a warrant, isn't interested in political pressure. Officer Martinez's body camera captures Olivia's arrest. Olivia answers the door in silk pajamas, holding a glass of wine, completely composed. When informed she's being arrested for hit and run, her first response is, "This is ridiculous. My attorney will have dismissed by morning. Do you know who my father is?" The blood draw at midnight shows a BAC of 0.06, below Rhode Island's legal limit of 0.08. But 5 hours have passed since the accident. Blood alcohol drops at approximately 0.015 per hour. 5 hours earlier, Olivia's BAC was estimated at 0.3 to 0.0, nearly twice the legal limit. She was drunk, she hit an elderly man, she drove away, and then she tried to use her father's money and influence to make it disappear. Judge Caprio enters the courtroom. Everyone stands except Olivia, who's mid-text. Preston Whitmore elbows her sharply. She stands slowly, sighing audibly, like a teenager forced to pause a video game. Judge Caprio takes his seat and reviews the file in silence that stretches uncomfortably. Finally, he removes his glasses, that signature gesture, and looks at Olivia. "Ms. Blackwell, do you understand the severity of these charges?" Preston Whitmore stands smoothly. "Your Honor, Preston Whitmore for the defense. My client understands the charges, but we believe there are significant evidentiary issues that warrant—" "Mr. Whitmore, I asked your client." Judge Caprio's voice is calm steel. "Ms. Blackwell, please answer the question." Olivia stands, adjusting her $6,500 coat. "Your Honor, I understand that there was an accident involving my vehicle, but I think the characterization of events has been distorted by people who have agendas against my family. My father's business success makes him enemies, and—" "Ms. Blackwell, the question was whether you understand the charges, not whether you believe they're motivated by conspiracy theories." Olivia's jaw tightens. "Yes, Your Honor, I understand the charges." "Do you understand that Robert Walsh spent 9 days in a coma?" "I understand someone was injured, yes. Someone was injured," Judge Caprio repeats slowly. "Robert Walsh, 82 years old, retired firefighter. He'll never walk again because of your vehicle. Do you understand that?" "Your Honor, with respect, no one can definitively say that my client's vehicle was the cause of Mr. Walsh's injuries without—" "Mr. Whitmore, your client's Maserati has DNA evidence from the impact. Paint transfer matches Mr. Walsh's jacket. Security camera footage shows the license plate. What part of that is ambiguous?" Preston Whitmore shifts tactics. "Your Honor, my client has expressed willingness to provide substantial compensation to Mr. Walsh and his family. We're talking about resources that could provide world-class medical care, rehabilitation. Are you suggesting your client can buy her way out of a hit and run?" "I'm suggesting that punishment should be balanced with pragmatic solutions. Ms. Blackwell's incarceration helps no one, but her resources could significantly improve Mr. Walsh's quality of life." If you're not subscribed, hit that button right now, because what happens next will show you exactly what happens when someone tries to turn justice into a negotiation and discovers that Judge Caprio doesn't negotiate. Judge Caprio looks at Olivia. "Ms. Blackwell, is your attorney accurately representing your position? Are you attempting to use money to avoid criminal responsibility?" Olivia meets his eyes without flinching. "Your Honor, I think we're all adults here. We all understand how the world works. Everyone has a price, even—" She stops herself, but the implication hangs in the air. "Finish that sentence." "I just mean that practical solutions benefit everyone. Why put taxpayers through an expensive trial when we could resolve this privately?" Judge Caprio's expression doesn't change, but something in the courtroom atmosphere shifts. Let's see the evidence. The prosecutor, Michael Torres, presents the case systematically. Security footage showing the impact, Robert Walsh's body flying through the air. Witness statements from 6 people who saw the Maserati flee. Body camera footage of Olivia's arrest, including her "Do you know who my father is" statement. The blood alcohol analysis showing she was likely at 0.13 to 0.14 at the time of impact. Preston Whitmore's phone calls to city officials attempting to negotiate dismissal before charges were filed. Robert Walsh is wheeled into the courtroom. He's in a wheelchair. His daughter Patricia pushes him. Robert has lost 40 pounds since the accident. His right leg is in a brace. His hands shake from the traumatic brain injury, but his eyes are clear. And when he speaks, his voice is steady. "Your Honor, I was a firefighter for 29 years. I've seen people at their worst, in fires, in accidents, in moments of panic. I've seen people make terrible mistakes, but I've also seen people own those mistakes. Ms. Blackwell didn't just hit me and drive away. She tried to use her money to make me disappear, like I'm not a person, like my life doesn't matter because I'm not rich." Olivia checks her phone. Judge Caprio's voice cuts through the courtroom. Ms. Blackwell, put your phone away and look at Mr. Walsh. Olivia slowly pockets the phone but doesn't look up. I said look at him. Olivia raises her eyes, meeting Robert's gaze for perhaps 2 seconds before looking away. Robert continues. I'll never walk again. I'll never volunteer at the library. I'll be in this wheelchair for the rest of my life. And Ms. Blackwell thinks she can write a check and make that okay. But some things don't have a price tag. Patricia, Robert's daughter, speaks next. Your Honor, my father raised me alone after my mother died when I was 8. He worked double shifts at the fire station to pay for my college. He never complained. He never asked for anything. And now I'm 47 years old, and I'm doing for him what he did for me, except he was young and strong, and he's elderly and broken. Ms. Blackwell took his independence. She took his dignity, and she thinks money fixes that. The courtroom is silent except for the sound of Robert's labored breathing. Judge Caprio thanks them and prepares to continue when something unprecedented happens. Olivia stands without being called on. Your Honor, may I approach the bench? Preston Whitmore grabs her arm, trying to stop her, but she shakes him off. Judge Caprio, surprised, nods. You may approach. Olivia walks to the bench carrying her 4200 Bottega Veneta clutch. Preston Whitmore follows, his face pale. Olivia reaches into the clutch and pulls out a watch box, distinctive red leather, unmistakably Rolex. She opens it. Inside, a Rolex Sky-Dweller in 18K white gold with a blue dial. Retail price, $45,000. She slides the box across the bench toward Judge Caprio. Your Honor, she says quietly, so the courtroom can barely hear. I think we can find a solution that benefits everyone. This is a small gesture of my family's appreciation for your fairness. There's more where this came from if we can resolve this matter efficiently. The courtroom goes dead silent. Preston Whitmore looks like he's going to be sick. Judge Caprio stares at the watch, then at Olivia, his expression unreadable. Ms. Blackwell, did you just attempt to bribe a sitting judge? Olivia's confidence falters. Yeah, I'm offering a gift. As a token of respect in exchange for favorable treatment in a criminal case? I'm offering options for how we might— Bailiff, Judge Caprio's voice is ice. Please contact the FBI. Ms. Blackwell has just committed a federal felony in open court. The courtroom explodes. Olivia goes white. Preston Whitmore is frantically flipping through legal documents. Judge Caprio picks up the Rolex box, and this is the moment that shocks everyone. He holds it up for the entire courtroom to see. Ms. Blackwell, this watch is worth approximately $45,000. Mr. Walsh worked as a firefighter for 29 years. His starting salary in 1968 was $6,000 a year. By the time he retired in 1997, he was making $48,000 a year. This watch represents nearly an entire year of Mr. Walsh's labor, and you think you can slide it across my bench like a tip? Olivia's voice is barely a whisper. I didn't mean— This watch is now evidence in a federal bribery investigation. Bailiff, tag it and secure it. Ms. Blackwell, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Olivia's knees buckle. Preston Whitmore catches her. Your Honor, my client is clearly having a mental health crisis. She's not thinking clearly. This is not— Your client just committed bribery of a federal officer under 18 U.S. Code Par 201. That carries a maximum sentence of 15 years in federal prison and a fine of 3 times the value of the bribe. In this case, that would be $135,000, and that's before we address the hit-and-run charges. 2 FBI agents who happen to be in the courthouse on another matter are summoned. They arrive within minutes. Olivia has read her rights again. She's visibly shaking now, the arrogance completely gone. Judge Caprio makes a decision. Before the FBI takes custody, I'm going to make a phone call. Bailiff, get me Jonathan Blackwell on the line. Preston Whitmore stands. Your Honor, that's not necessary. Mr. Blackwell doesn't need to be involved. Your client just tried to bribe me using her family's wealth. I think Mr. Blackwell needs to know what his daughter does with his money. The call goes through. Jonathan Blackwell's voice comes through the speaker, commanding, used to controlling rooms. Judge Caprio, what's this about? I'm in the middle of— Mr. Blackwell, your daughter Olivia is in my courtroom. She's facing hit-and-run charges for striking an 82-year-old man and leaving him paralyzed. And approximately 3 minutes ago, she attempted to bribe me with a $45,000 Rolex watch. Silence on the line. When Jonathan speaks again, his voice has changed. She did what? She pulled out a Rolex Sky-Dweller and slid it across my bench, suggesting we could find a solution that benefits everyone. Her exact words. Oh my God! Jonathan Blackwell's voice is thick with something. Anger, shame, horror. Your Honor, I need to speak with Olivia. She's here. I'll put her on. Judge Caprio gestures to Olivia, who approaches the phone with trembling hands. Dad, Olivia, tell me you didn't try to bribe a judge. Dad, I was just trying to... Tell me you didn't try to bribe a judge. Jonathan's voice cracks through the speaker, making everyone in the courtroom flinch. Olivia is crying now. I thought that's how things work. You always say everyone has a price. You always say money solves problems. I say that about business negotiations, Olivia, not about judges, not about criminal cases. Jonathan's breathing is heavy. Your Honor, I'm coming to Providence. Don't let her say another word. I'll be there in 2 hours. Mr. Blackwell, the FBI is taking her into federal custody. She won't be released on bail. Bribery of a federal officer is a no-bond offense. I understand. Jonathan's voice has gone quiet. Your Honor, I need to say something. My daughter just tried to corrupt the judicial system using money I earned. That money was supposed to provide for her, protect her, give her opportunities. Instead, it taught her that laws are optional, that people are commodities, that justice is for sale. He pauses. I've spent 40 years building a business empire. I've made compromises. I've cut corners. I've probably taught my daughter every wrong lesson about how power works. And now she's sitting in your courtroom having committed a federal felony because she thinks the world works the way I've shown her it works. The courtroom is absolutely silent. Judge Caprio, whatever sentence you and the federal prosecutors determine is appropriate, I support it fully. I will not hire expensive attorneys to fight this. I will not use my connections. I will not pay for appeals. My daughter needs to learn that some things cannot be purchased. And apparently, I need to learn that too. Olivia sobs openly. Dad, please, you can't just... I'm not abandoning you, Olivia. I'm letting you face consequences I should have let you face a long time ago. I love you, but I can't protect you from this. I won't. But Dad... Judge Caprio, Jonathan interrupts. There's something else. Olivia has a trust fund, approximately $47 million set up by her mother before she died. It's hers. She can't access it until she's 35, but it exists. I'm instructing the trustees to redirect every dollar of that trust to establish a fund for Rhode Island first responders injured in the line of duty, in honor of Robert Walsh and the 29 years he spent protecting our community. Preston Whitmore's eyes widen. Mr. Blackwell, you can't just... It's my wife's trust. I'm the executor. I can absolutely do that. $47 million. Mr. Walsh, I hope some small portion of that can provide you with care you deserve. Judge Caprio, the rest should support the firefighters and police officers who risk their lives for people like me who take too much and give too little. The line goes dead. Olivia collapses to her knees, sobbing. That was my mother's money. That was for me. That was money you just proved you can't be trusted with, Judge Caprio says quietly. FBI, please take Ms. Blackwell into custody. Federal bribery charges are filed within the hour. Olivia spends 3 days in federal detention before being brought back to Judge Caprio's courtroom for sentencing on the state charges. The federal case will proceed separately. Judge Caprio delivers both sentences, the state charges now, with the understanding that federal charges are pending. Olivia Christine Blackwell, you are convicted of hit and run with serious bodily injury resulting in permanent disability. You are convicted of leaving the scene of an accident, and you have been charged federally with attempted bribery of a judicial officer. For the hit and run, you are fined $25,000. Your license is suspended for 10 years. You will serve 18 months in state prison, consecutive, no early release. For leaving the scene, an additional fine of $15,000, an additional 6 months in state prison, consecutive. Total state fines, $40,000. Total state prison time, 24 months. You will pay $500,000 in restitution to Robert Walsh for medical expenses and lifetime care costs. Upon completion of your state sentence, you will face federal prosecution. If convicted of bribery, you face up to 15 years in federal prison and fines of up to $135,000. Additionally, The $45,000 Rolex you attempted to use as a bribe has been forfeited to the state. I'm ordering it sold at auction, with proceeds going to the Providence Public Library's literacy program, where Mr. Walsh volunteered for 12 years. And finally, upon release from prison, you will complete 2,000 hours of community service working with disabled veterans and first responders, learning what service means from people who gave everything without expecting anything in return. Preston Whitmore doesn't object. There's nothing to object to, Olivia whispers. Your Honor, I'm sorry. I didn't understand. And that people aren't commodities, that justice isn't for sale, that wealth doesn't exempt you from humanity. You have 24 months minimum to figure it out. The sentence stands. The video of Olivia sliding the Rolex across the bench goes viral within hours, not because someone leaked it, but because Jonathan Blackwell releases the full courtroom audio himself in a public statement that afternoon. My daughter attempted to bribe a sitting judge, he says, standing outside Blackwell Properties headquarters with his board of directors behind him. She did it because I taught her that money solves everything. I was wrong. She was wrong. Judge Caprio was right to reject it, right to report it, and right to sentence her harshly. He announces he's stepping down as CEO effective immediately to focus on the First Responders Fund he's establishing with Olivia's trust. $47 million my late wife saved for our daughter's future will instead support the people who protect our communities. It's the least I can do. The business fallout is immediate. Blackwell Properties stock, publicly traded subsidiary, drops 8.3% as investors worry about leadership transition. But within a week, it rebounds 12% as investors praise Jonathan's integrity. His decision to redirect his daughter's trust and hold her accountable becomes a case study in corporate ethics classes nationwide. Olivia serves her 24 months in state prison. Her cellmate is a woman serving 3 years for embezzlement. They barely speak for the first 6 months. Olivia spends her time reading, working in the library, and writing letters to her father that he doesn't answer for 9 months. The federal bribery trial happens 18 months into her state sentence. Olivia pleads guilty. The judge, impressed by her father's actions and her own apparent remorse, sentences her to 3 years federal prison to run concurrent with her remaining state time plus 5 years probation. When Olivia is finally released, after 24 months total, her father is waiting outside the prison. He's 68 now, semi-retired, spending his time running the First Responders Fund that has grown to $73 million through his additional contributions. They sit in his car in the prison parking lot for 20 minutes without speaking. Finally, Jonathan says, "Your mother would have been heartbroken by what you did, and proud of how you're handling the consequences." "I destroyed my life," Olivia says quietly. "No, you almost destroyed your humanity. There's a difference. Life can be rebuilt. Humanity, once sold, is much harder to recover." Olivia begins her 2,000 hours of community service at a Veterans Affairs Rehabilitation Center, working with disabled veterans, learning to navigate life with catastrophic injuries. The first veteran she meets is a 47-year-old former Marine who lost both legs in Afghanistan. "You're the Rolex girl," he says bluntly. "Yes." "Why are you here?" "Because a judge told me I had to be." "That the only reason?" Olivia thinks about Robert Walsh in his wheelchair, about her father redirecting her trust fund, about 24 months in prison. "No. I'm here because I need to learn what you already know, that worth isn't measured in dollars." The veteran nods. "Okay, then let's start." 2 years after her release, Olivia completes her service hours. The VA offers her a paid position, $42,000 a year coordinating volunteers. She takes it. She lives in a modest apartment in Providence. She doesn't wear jewelry anymore. She takes the bus because her license is still suspended. 3 years after the trial, she sees Robert Walsh at a Providence First Responders benefit dinner. He's in his wheelchair, now 85, still sharp. His daughter pushes him to Olivia's table. "Mr. Walsh," Olivia says, standing, "I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did to you, and I'm sorry for thinking money could fix it." Robert looks at her for a long moment. "Your father's fund paid for my wheelchair, the specialized one that lets me get around independently. It paid for the modifications to my house. It paid for my physical therapy. I still can't walk, but I can live. That's the least we could do." "Yes, It is. Robert extends his hand. But it's something. And you're here, doing the work instead of writing checks. That's something too. It's not forgiveness, but it's acknowledgement. And for Olivia, it's more than she deserves. 4 years after the bribery attempt, the Rolex Sky-Dweller sells at auction for $52,000, $7,000 over retail because of its notoriety. The Providence Public Library uses the money to expand its adult literacy program to 3 new locations. They name it the Robert Walsh Reading Initiative. Olivia attends the opening ceremony. She doesn't speak. She stands in the back. But she's there. And when Robert cuts the ribbon from his wheelchair, Olivia cries for the first time in years, not for herself, but for what she almost destroyed and what survived anyway. Don't forget to subscribe for more courtroom justice stories where entitled defendants learn that some things cannot be bought, sold, or bargained for. That like button if you believe Judge Caprio handled the bribery attempt exactly right. Drop a comment about whether you think Olivia's transformation is genuine or whether 24 months in prison is enough for trying to corrupt justice itself. This courtroom taught us that the price of attempting to buy justice isn't measured in Rolexes or millions of dollars. It's measured in the loss of everything you thought made you special, your wealth, your privilege, your certainty that rules don't apply to you. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, what you find on the other side of that loss is the one thing money could never buy: your humanity.